What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy Show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hey, Greg.
How are you?
I'm well.
We have no time for pleasure.
We
Shut
don't.
up.
Get in
Over
there.
the pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
Go Islanders.
Go Islanders, indeed. Over there, the pure one, Tim Gettys.
That's the most. And happy birthday, Nick.
Happy
I do
birthday.
need
You
to get a shout out.
motherfucker!
Yeah.
It's your birthday?
Tim, let me hear you one more time.
Don't try to
Sound like
distract the point.
Really? Let me hear you.
Talking in. I'm still talking. I'm talking to you. I'm
Is
so
it-
happy it's your birthday.
Is it your day of birth?
Is he a year
It's my
younger?
birthday, yes.
You son of a
birthdays work, right?
gun.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
I
I
can't
did not
believe
get you
it.
anything.
No, you're.
You got me you.
This, of course, is
I did. The gift
world-renowned
of you.
voice actor Troy Baker. He's here. Thank you so much for coming to visit us.
Oh, of course. We have applause here.
You did Colin and Greg live this morning. You hung in there. You answered the questions over on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, and now you're here for the Game Over Greggy Show. But you have a plane to catch.
I do have a plane to catch.
We're running you on borrowed time.
On borrowed time.
So
I don't
here-
know who we borrowed it from.
Jesus,
Jesus.
Mother Nature.
Mother Nature, and
Yeah,
Jesus,
she
and
handles
Virgin
time,
America.
Jesus ain't got no time for
Oprah.
that.
Oprah.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this is the Game Over Greggy Show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table, each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, you can get it all for the cheap on Friday on Bandcamp, on Vimeo, kindoffunny.com, and of course, patreon.com/kindoffunny. If you don't want to give us any money or you can't, we totally understand. All we ask is that you watch our videos over on youtube.com/kindoffunny each and every day. The next week, topic by topic, day by day, till the entire show posts for free as an MP3 and a video.
That was good.
Now we can
that
have
was
some
pretty
fun.
good.
Now we get to the discussion. Well, people first off have been saying my intros are too long lately. They like your Kind of Funny Games cast.
Yeah.
You're just like, whatever. I'm Tim. Do this. I'm hosting now, and I can say
Yeah.
what I want. Hey, man.
What up, dude?
Hey, man.
Troy Baker.
Dude, I thank you. Hello.
Hi.
That was that was with an acknowledgement, a greeting, and a segue.
Yep.
I just have to give a wonderful shout out to my dear friend Colin for making a fantastic old fashioned.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fantastic
I
old
appreciate
fashioned.
You learned it from the best. If you want to know how to make an old fashioned, go
Yeah.
to youtube.com/kindoffunny and check out Follow the Leader.
I'm putting in the time code for Kevin.
Bam.
Yep, we have
Then he'll annotate.
we have a how-to video of how to make it from Eric Castro himself.
I thought you were like being very professional, like taking notes.
I am.
Like you're the secretary.
I am.
For.
I wear many hats.
Taking minutes.
I wear many hats here.
But you're literally taking minutes.
Right.
Like minutes is not just like the term that people use.
Oh, I literally need
You're
it. I
literally
look
like
over there. I
3
got the
minutes,
time code. I
50
jot it
seconds.
down. Then the little things pop up, and everybody's excited. Troy.
Yes.
Random topics of discussion on the Game
Okay.
Over Greggy Show. You guests go first. What did you bring to the table today?
Besides my old fashioned, I literally brought my album,
Oh yes.
so that's good because I'm shamelessly plugging myself.
Nah, it's no big.
What's the album called?
Sitting in the fire. So we can talk about this real quick. So there's a really interesting moment in my life where it prompted my best friend Travis Willingham to kind of call me out and have like a good come to Jesus talk.
Did he throw balls at your balls like he did to
He
me?
did not. That he reserved that for you, so you were very special in that.
Thanks, Travis.
But he sat me down and he said, "Listen, man, there's a fire. You know, because we all have circumstances and problems in our life and everything. And he equated that to a fire that burns in your life. And he was like, there's a fire that's burning right now, and if you will just sit in it as opposed to running away from it, it will make you stronger." And
Mother of Dragons.
Mother of Dragons.
Yeah.
You got to walk out naked from that thing, and then everyone's
We've all
like,
been
"Oh,
there.
you gonna get naked?" She said, "I'm not gonna get naked anymore. I'm already on this show."
Wait,
Yeah.
I was told
Good.
there was going to be nudity on the show.
But not from
That is why I showed
See, I
up.
was
you-
hoping
that
for
was why
some
you
Troy
watched the
Baker
show.
Hold on.
That's
nudity.
why I watched this show.
So she said,
Oh,
He's
shiza.
taking it all off for you.
Look at that little wiener.
Me without a dollar. So anyway, yeah, we this and part of the fire was making this fucking thing because it took us forever. But growing up, and Nick, how old are you?
I'm 35 today.
35 today. So you kind of came in on the tail end of I'm like the oldest person at this table.
How old are you?
38.
Oh, fuck you.
I'll be 39 this year.
God
You look
damn it.
younger than Tim, though. Are you using your eye cream?
I am.
Good.
How old are you?
25.
Oh, fuck off. You're drinking Coke. You can barely drink that. So keep the alcohol away from the young ones. So like growing up, man, I had like 33s and 78s and you know, not really 8-track was not really my thing. But it was albums, it was cassettes, and then these CDs came along, and then that kind of put us where we are now. But there's this spirit that records were made in that has kind of been lost, because now you've got great music that's out there, but it's a collection of tracks as opposed to like. We were talking about this earlier with like the Beatles. There was a concept record, like Sgt. Pepper's was a concept record, and there were movements that it went through, and it's one of the reasons why I love games so much, is because with the same thing with an album, there was this interactivity that happened, because you couldn't just put on, like now we can literally listen to an inexhaustible supply of music.
Right. Yeah.
And, through Pandora, every once in a while go, hey, are you still listening? Because we have to pay for these songs. Or Spotify goes, we're not going to pay anybody ever, so you can listen to whatever you want. But
Not if
there,
Taylor Swift has something to say about it. I'll tell you that right
You
now.
know, yeah,
She's
right?
fighting the good fight. The good fight.
but
She's
yeah,
shaking it
shout
up.
out to
but you look
T-Swift.
at that, you know, she was like 3 million plays or whatever, and she got 32 cents or something ridiculous. I know, it's crazy.
Chump change compared to what you're getting paid.
Oh my god, I'm mildly broke. But what's crazy about it is, like, you know, with the record, you had like 22 minutes that you were going to listen to this thing, and then you had to, because you get that because that needle would pass over to the other side. You have to flip it over, and there was a whole new record waiting for you.
Yeah.
I remember I didn't listen to the second half of Joshua Tree for like years because I just loved everything that was on Side A, which was like all the poppy hits and everything. And it was kind of the spirit that we did this record in, to where like the first half of it is, it's rock, it's in, you know, it's kind of upbeat. There's some kind of dancey stuff even on there, and then you flip it over to the second side, and it's this totally different experience. But we, I'm stupid, and I learned a lot of ways to not make a record.
Oh, okay.
It's like Edison. Edison, you know, tried 2,000 times to create the light bulb, and someone says, "How do you feel about failing 2,000 times to make a light bulb?" Because I didn't. I just found 2,000 ways to not make a light bulb. You know, everyone was a success, and it's the same thing. But a lot of the albums that really influenced me were not done in a traditional studio sense. They were done like OK Computer was done in Jane Seymour's Castle. There was a Bruce Springsteen record where he did, it's called the Pete Seeger Sessions, and he did it at this cabin in the woods. It was just amazing. I think he did it upstate New York. And that's when I decided I wanted to do something like I want to do my album in a cabin. And so we found this house up in Big Bear, California, and we dragged about $500,000 worth of gear, most of it rented, of course.
Yeah, naturally.
That we did not own. And we went down to our very last mic cable and spent 5 days tracking this record and spent a lot of time mixing it and working on it and finishing it up. And it's finally out. So yeah, super proud of that.
Where can people get it?
You can get it. Well, I think we're going to give away one here, right?
Sure.
Yeah. How do we do that?
People in the comments will randomly pick somebody from the commens of the
Yeah.
YouTube video.
So it's random. It's not. Don't try to do anything like
on the breakout on the Monday
hey,
episode. not the
Yeah,
full episode.
I sacrificed chicken to get this record.
Don't do that. That's
no
bad.
chicken
Don't
sandwich.
Don't do
We
that.
don't do
That will
that.
actually not get you the record.
Yeah.
that will
ban
actually
you, probably,
that
yeah.
could get you arrested. I think.
Yeah.
if
Oh yeah.
you-
Animal cruelty. Nobody wants that.
But if your law firm is run by Al Pacino, then
Then you're set.
Then you're set.
Yeah.
Nobody get the reference.
No.
Devil's Advocate.
Oh.
Really?
I remember
Yeah.
Devil's
Come on.
Advocate. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just don't
I
remember
don't-
what.
The first one that he has is it's a close and shut. What is he? Open and shut case of animal cruelty. He's got the worst accent in that entire.
Oh, I
movie, by
thought
the
you were
way.
doing Al Pacino for a
Yeah,
second. I was like,
Ethan
that's
Hawke.
the
No.
worst Al Pacino
No.
ever.
She is my wife. This is our home, and I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. So apparently I have to talk like this. It's terrible. Just, hey son, oh yeah, you must from my lawn. I mean, it's like Al Pacino is just like turning it all the way up to 11, and then
Look,
This
but
is your
don't
sister.
touch.
She's a redhead. She's really hot. I want you to have sex with her on my desk.
it's like the creepiest, weirdest
good
movie.
movie.
And then Charlize
movie.
Theron goes, "I love you," and then kills herself. I could like do this
That
movie in
was a
60
weird movie.
seconds.
That was a weird movie.
That's
Very
a
weird.
really weird movie. Yeah.
But his sister or the chick, what was that? What else was she in? The
curly haired
redhead.
redhead. I know who you're talking about.
Was she in Starship Troopers? She was in Starship Troopers, wasn't she?
Let me look that up.
If
Thank
only
you.
there was a device that existed.
Got
in
all the
world.
information immediately for us.
Let me ask you.
What's it good? Colin bringing it back to center.
I want to ask you about you know we only have you for a very limited amount of time and I'm like I'm the only other musician at this table, so I have to ask you a simple two questions.
Please.
Did you what did you obviously you're a vocalist and you play guitar? Did you do any other instruments on the record? And did you guys play live or did you do track by track and mix it that way?
Most of the stuff, like all the rhythm sections, were done live. Every song was done with bass, drums, and guitar being done at the same time. Sometimes bass, drums, guitar, and keys. There's like two instrumentals, and we did overdubs, of course. Like there'd be a second guitar part or whatever. James Bowen plays guitars on everything. He played piano on Afterglow, and our drummer CJ Martin played the organ on Will the Circle Be Unbroken. I played keys on, besides like a couple of, I did stuff on like My Religion. I did stuff on a couple different things. I did like, extra key work or whatever. But there's two instrumentals that we have that are really, really cool, that were completely spontaneous. They were completely improv at the cabin while we were recording. And one, I was trying to find a specific sound, and if you've ever dealt with software stuff, you can literally go through just a cornucopia of sounds. It's like, but you're just going through a library of sounds. And we hit this one by Sonic Couture, and it's an acoustic EBO. And you hit it, and you have like a oscillating wheel. And so when you went up, it made this really cool, like it pitched it up to the next harmonic. And it's a song called, I have to think about it, Intermission, sorry. We could just call it the jams, but it's Intermission. And I was sitting here playing with it, and I was just going, doo, doo. And the guys were hearing me through the headphones, and they just started playing. And so I looked at Rob. I'm in the control room, which looked a lot like this, with just gear everywhere. I was like, holy shit, dude, roll tape. And so we started rolling. And Johnny, our producer, who had this amazing couch, and there's a picture I think I put up on Twitter or whatever, of him just sitting there laid out on this couch, and that's just where his producer's couch. He just sat there and just like, it's like, guys, here we go. And we just played it live. No click or anything else. And I had a mic, and I was like calling out changes, as like, go back to this part, It was just a really cool organic thing, and there's two of those. There's Intermission, and there's a song called Window to the Abbey that was a complete jam that we wrote up there. So yeah, I did play some stuff, but I mean, I have like amazing musicians, and there's times when you just got to get out of the way and let those guys do what they do so well. We actually played for the first time together since we did the album, which was May of 2000. God, it was right when we did the Podcast 300 thing.
Oh wow, really? So that'd be 2 years
Beyond
ago?
300. Yeah, it was like 2 years ago. May of 2012. Yeah. So the first time we actually sat down and played these songs was this Sunday, and this past Sunday. And it was like we've been playing these songs for years. Just
awesome.
They're so good. We just dropped in and played. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I love hearing like those. I don't think people, there's a lot of music fans out there. Obviously, everyone really enjoys listening to music, but I really do feel, and I can sympathize with you in the sense that I don't feel like a lot of people that don't play instruments understand how really fucking hard it is to make a record, and
oh my god,
and like to play and stuff like that. Like I don't have the experience to put out something that we put out on stores where when I was a band in college, we did record we bought an M box. So I used all of our money to buy
hell
an
yeah,
M box.
dude. I have one
and
every
we,
generation.
and we spent all of our money on all the software, and we wanted to record a 6-track demo. We ended up doing that, but I play drums, and I remember we wanted to do everything on individual tracks so we can really tweak it and master it properly.
Sure.
And I remember being so fucking annoyed because I could not play. Like I couldn't play without everyone around me. I'm like, I can't do this. Like you have your headphones on, you have the click and stuff like that. And I'm like, I can't do it. And we ended up throwing in the towel on most of the songs and just playing it live. And we lost the ability to master it, so we lost some of the fidelity in the sound. But like, it was more natural to play it like that. So I was just curious that's why I wanted to ask, is if you played it. Well, we obviously put the vocals on after, but I needed to play with especially the bass.
There is a lot of energy that's lost when you go track by track, and some people are good. I mean, like the Eagles were all studio musicians, and that's how they met. They came together, and they're all just like fantastic players. And so, like Wayne Miller, who's our bass player and music director, I mean, that guy is on tour with Christina Perri right now, and I mean, they're all just like those. This is what they do, 9 to 5. That's their gig, is being studio musicians. But it's really interesting. Like I'm the same way. It's like, play to a click. I'm like, oh no. I need these guys back here. And because we played last night, and there's just there's a certain, and this is not for everybody, and I don't want to sound too pretentious, but like that's, if we don't make music because of the way that we feel, I'm not knocking like math rock and stuff like that, to where it's like, watch me write this song in 12/8 time. But there's just, to me, the impetus has always been like how I'm feeling. And there's some times when the song is going to be slower. Sometimes it's going to be faster. Sometimes it's going to be more angry. So I don't know. But I again, you're right. It's incredibly hard to make this. And I'm honored every time. Like I check every day. I'm like, holy shit, I sold another one. I'm just so surprised that people are digging it. And to find out which songs actually like resonated with people too. So it's been fun.
I know musicians always get frustrated about this particular question, but and game designers do too. But you just put this record out, now you're doing some shows and kind of promoting or whatever. Is this it? And you said this was a concept album, which a lot of bands don't do anymore. I mean, Dredge does it, and a few other guys do concept albums, but most people don't do that anymore. That's lost along with vinyl, I think. But what do you want to do another record? Or is it something that in the next couple of years, next few years?
I want to do 10. Now it's. I mean, there's this whole side of me that's kind of laid dormant, just out of necessity. I've been fortunate enough to work, and stay very, very busy.
You're in a lot of games.
I'm in a few. I'm actually in less, I think, this year than I've been in past.
Yeah, because you were in everything last year.
and everything
You're
got
just
delayed.
in Batman, Uncharted, Metal Gear, like these
That's it.
small
Just
little
like
indie games.
just a few. But I've been very fortunate that whatever it is about me has been like perfect for where the industry is at right now, and there's been opportunities that have been afforded to me, and those opportunities afforded this opportunity. So I'm pleased as punch to do that. But yeah, now I'm like, I want to go to New York and just like get a loft in New York for like 3 weeks and just see what happens.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
Because I invariably, like, the cabin took it was an influence on the way that we wrote, and we were on like 4 acres or something, so there's nobody around us, which we needed specifically because we're gonna be like cranking at 3 o'clock in the morning. What are people going, shut up, So we intentionally found a spot that just there was nothing but woods around it, so people would like just go, are you guys gonna cut guitars? Cool, I'm just gonna grab a beer and go out, and there's this chair that we have a picture of that's just out in the middle of the woods because people would just take a chair and just sit out there and just be in nature. And it was in May. It was beautiful. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't too cold. So I would love to see what would happen when you have like Richard Ashcroft did an album, his first solo album since he left the Verve. This is many years ago. Called Alone with Myself, and there's a song that he has about New York. And I remember walking around Gramercy Park, and because you can't go in unless you're like a resident or whatever, but you can walk around it, and that whole like part of New York is really cool. But I remember walking around listening to Ashcroft with that. I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm in your head when you were writing this song about New York, because it just has this energy. I love New York.
With the concept album, like, do you come up with the concept first and then kind of fit all the pieces into that vision? Because like with other albums, it's just kind of like, let's just make a bunch of songs and put them together.
Sure. A lot of this has been cathartic for me, because there's some of these songs have sat gestating for like 10 years, and others became something new. The way that we worked is this was a cool process too. Again, Brian Foster, who's like my little brother, introduced me to this guy, Johnny Watt, who became the producer for this. And I was like, yeah, we should work together. I was like, dude, I've got these songs. They're ready to go.
Is his name Johnny what?
Johnny Watt. W-H-A-T.
Johnny what?
Johnny Watt.
That is a dope ass name.
Dude, he's about to explode too.
That's a
Not
rad
not
name.
because of me, but because of a lot of he's worked with Fits and the Tantrums. He's working with some new artists that are coming up, and
You heard him here first, Johnny
he's
Wood.
legit.
Johnny
He's
what?
legit. But he's kind of like a song whisperer. The way that he works is he goes, I was like, dude, so the drums are doing this, the guitars are doing this, there's some horns and some strings. He's like, cool, I just need to hear the song, man. and he said, I want an acoustic, I want a vocal. You're going to come over to my apartment, and we're going to just lay it down, and I'll call you in 2 weeks, and I'll tell you what I come up with. And the reason why is he said, there's a place that these songs are wanting to go to. You can't take them there. Mm-hmm. And so I just need to hear what the song is saying to me. And sure enough, like I remember Far Away especially was like, what the fuck, dude? It was so crazy. It was such a departure, because here's an acoustic, and I'm trying to like play all the parts that I hear with this one instrument. And 2 weeks later, I get this version back. I'm like, what is this? And it was the early embryonic phase of what the song would become. And things invariably take on a new, as hands touch them, they change, they grow, and they evolve. And so it went from an acoustic and a vocal to Johnny's sketches to pre-production with the band, and then actually recording them, and then the mixing takes on. So it's like this like multi-faceted process of how to do this. But so a lot of these have been like, I've got to get these songs out, because they never were released. And I feel that these are really good songs. And Leonard Cohen is I'm a huge fan of his, and he told a friend of mine that Foster, once again, he's getting a lot of plugs on this fucking
Everybody
podcast.
loves Brian
Jesus.
Foster.
Brian Wayne Foster, Brian W. Foster. I can't
On
remember his Twitter.
I'm on it. Don't worry. You keep telling your story.
I'll give him a good plug. Amazing writer, amazing musician, a good human. But Leonard Cohen told him, he said, always write down whatever idea, song, poem, story that you have.
I got lists of ideas.
Yeah, Tim's
That's
a
all
list
I
maker.
do.
He's definitely a list
Here's
maker.
what's cool though is he goes, your current self may not understand it, but your future self may be able to reveal
That's so
that.
true. There's things I write down, and then years later, I'll look back at my notes. I'm like, oh man.
wow,
And then it
that's
turns
what
into
I'm
something.
Time travel.
We are talking about Brian W. Foster.
Brian W. Foster.
Brian W. Foster. Troy, I want to get you on at least 2 topics. So I want to close out
Please.
this with a question for
Yes.
you. I've been lucky enough to roll around this great world with you, and I've seen you play, and we've done panels at MomoCon where you did a set, and I've seen you play songs. I have a question that I am not prepared for. We have not talked about it before, so I don't know how you want to answer it.
Okay.
Give me as much as you can if you want to. Last night, you played The Circle Will Be Unbroken.
Yeah.
And you stopped in the middle of it.
Dude,
You got choked up. What the hell happened?
I didn't want to like turn into Sean Penn and like all of a sudden make this political stance or social stance on the stage, but and there was, I don't even remember what I said, but there was also this diatribe earlier where it was after Like a Stone, where I was talking about how songs are like lovers. Now we can get so familiar with them, and that there's a comfortability that comes in that. If anybody's ever been in a relationship or a relationship that's lasted longer than more than one night, where this person that was like, oh, she's so mysterious and she's so, or he's so sexy to me and everything, and then you realize that they're taking a shit in the next room and they're like, oh, they're not as cool as that. But there's also there's a beauty in that to where you're like, oh, I get to be the person that gets to walk into the bathroom after they just like drop some major heat. That's like, there's a coolness to that,
major heat.
But then that's the way that songs become, and then one weird thing, like there's a Thursday night when they're wearing that one little thing and you're like, holy shit, I forgot that that's what the person looked like. So it was, I don't know if it was the room or what it was, but there was like a really emotional vibe. But I hit circle and I got to the verse where it says there are loved ones whose dear forms you often miss, and it says now their circle has been broken, will it be complete one day? And I don't know where it came from, but Paris has always been a very it sounds so stupid, but it's been a very integral part to who I am as a person, because when I was 12 years old, I went to Paris for the first time, and we were on a schedule. We had to be here at 10:15, here at 11:45. We're going to the Louvre and everything. And me being, a 13-year-old kid, I was like, I want to stop off in some cheesy souvenir store that's, in the 6th district and Arrondissement. And it put us like 15 minutes late to be at Notre Dame. And we finally get to Notre Dame. And everyone's pissed at me. They're like, oh, God. And we get there, and there's always a crowd. But there was a static crowd, and it was in this perfect half moon shape, opposite of the cathedral doors. And we knew something was wrong, and this ambulance pulled up, and literally 15 minutes before, a guy had jumped from between the two spires, and I found out years later killed a girl on his way down.
Holy crap.
And so I'm standing there at 13 years old, and I'm watching them as they sweep this guy into a bag and hose down the spot where he was. And the summation of this guy's whatever sadness and his life ended was this faint crimson stain on these old cobblestones. And the ambulance leaves, and they finally let the crowd circulate, and within 60 seconds there's an entirely new group of people that are completely unaware of what just happened. And I just broke down. I just lost it. And it was the cycle of life. It was the futility of suicide. It was, what really matters in your world, and all these things. And my sister, who's 2.5 years older than me and just amazing, says, as the doors open, you see that they were doing a christening inside of a baby. And she goes, how interesting that outside one life was ending and inside one life was beginning. And I just like, so, and there's a picture of me that my parents have of me just like, just standing off to the side and just crying and weeping. So Paris has always been near and dear to me, and it's one of the few towns outside of the town that I live in that I can navigate myself way around. I'm like, oh, there's a great patisserie over here, and there's not just landmarks, but like this little store, this little shop is right here, and you turn down this street, and I love Parisians. I know I'm probably against the grain, but they're some of the most hospitable people. They just don't put up with bullshit, and that's why Americans hate them, because we're so full of it.
We are.
But this last week,
Stop it. This is why the party will never win the election.
This is why the party won the election.
This last week, Paris has fallen on dark days, and it saddens me how people call upon an ideology and a religion to somehow frame their horrific, selfish acts and somehow justify that. And, I don't always agree with what, the magazine Charlie Hebdo does. I think a lot of it's incredibly offensive, horribly offensive. But you know what? That's on me to get offended by. I don't have to be offended by that. You can say whatever you want about God, Jesus, Buddha, Allah, whatever you want. It's on me to go, you know what? That pisses me off. And you know what? Those things have been around a hell of a lot longer than me, and they're going to be just fine. For like it or not, they're going to be around. And they're going to withstand any slings and arrows that somebody fires at them. So it's a fucking magazine. Who cares? But the fact that these three people took it upon themselves to end the lives of innocent people and was horrific, and to walk through this beautiful city with reckless abandon and just completely disrupt lives, it broke me. And there was this sadness that comes along with that, but there was also just this overwhelming beauty of seeing a city, and we don't have this here in the States, where you see this city that goes, you know what, we've been around the block a few times. And we've seen famine, we've seen war, we've seen pestilence, we've seen tyranny, we've seen invasion. We're going to be okay. And just to see a city and a world unite around one cause, which was, fuck you. We're Paris. And we'll rise above this. And not only that, but for people to stand up and say, freedom of speech. And we're not going to be ruled by some tyrannical oppression because you have different beliefs than we do and you got your feelings hurt. Get fucked, dude. I don't care. And I'm sorry. And the other thing that pisses me off is that this automatically goes to people of the Islamic faith, which is bullshit as well, because they're some of the most tolerant, patient, loving, gracious people. Honestly, if Christians could take more pages from the Islamic book, the world would be a better place, because I think a lot of times Christians are the ones that are way more bullheaded than any Muslim is. And then there's this small sect of fuckheads that decide to fuck it up for everybody.
It's always the fuckheads.
Yeah. And it pisses me off. And those people in no way represent any faith at all. No faith at all. Because I believe that if you actually do believe in a higher power or greater power or whatever, that should be urging you to do good and not fucking take up an automatic weapon and kill people. So that's what broke me last night, and I just thought about it. I was like, will their circle be unbroken? Will it be complete one day? And it was just like, I don't know, man. It just hit me like a wave. So that's my little diatribe on religious persecution and freedom of speech.
All right,
and
so buy my album, Sitting in the Fire.
So buy my album, and So yeah, it was a good night. Always end with a fart sound.
So
Yeah.
comment, tell us your favorite Troy Baker role. We'll pick one at random to win this. We'll autograph. Autograph. We'll get a pen eventually, and that'll be that.
Yeah.
And of course, buy it on iTunes. You can go buy it right now. Google Play.
Yeah, you can buy it on iTunes. TroyBaker.net is actually where you can get these. These are actually limited edition. We only did one printing. We're not going to do another one. If we do another one, it'll be completely different. So TroyBaker.net, you can click on the store and buy it there. You can go to CD Baby and get it there. Or some lucky person's going to get it here.
Okay.
I love you guys, man.
We love you.
Love
Thank you
you.
so much for
so
coming.
much,
Coming,
man.
Troy
This is
Baker.
cool.
I'm a big fan of these soft cases too. Classy.
Yeah, dude.
Looks really
Classic.
nice.
It's all recycled wood, and it's got artwork. It's got liner notes and credits and everything. Is a full fold-out poster of this lovely chair picture with all the lyrics. And
That's
everything
awesome.
on
Yeah, I'm big into CD collecting, so this
Dig
warms
it.
my heart.
it. Dig it.
Tim,
Yes,
you were running short on time. Do you
Okay.
want to do your topic?
I do.
What's your topic?
I
Okay.
do. I
Let's
do.
go for
So, my topic is impressions. I cannot do any impressions,
Okay.
and it's upsetting to me because
God.
Nick has an
Here we
amazing
go.
Christopher
I have the
Walken.
world's worst Christopher Walken impression.
I wanna hear it.
And I'm betting you have a great Christopher Walken.
Just give me one word. We
ahead.
got to make the circle real quick.
It's fine.
There you go.
It's not bad.
Now, Greg,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you have Morgan Freeman.
Oh. And the waters are receded.
Then we got Colin over here with Bane.
Yes. Wait. Yes, brother. Yeah, that's
There,
what
there you go.
Apologize.
So I do not have one. I just can't do it. The only thing I can do, and whenever I do any accent, it ends up being a really bad Arnold. All I got is "Jalu." This is all I can do, and that's it. And I don't know.
Blows me
Like,
away though.
that's pretty
That's a
good.
good Arnold.
your Arnold's pretty good. My Bane is getting worse. The more I
Your
think
Bane's
about
getting
it,
way worse.
it's getting worse and worse. I love how.
But something
bad it is.
tells me that
I
Troy
need
got a
impressions.
couple cool things up his sleeve, and I
Troy,
want you to.
when did
can
you
Can you do Walken? I need to know.
Oh, God.
Here we come. Let's stop. Right, let's stop before he goes into it. He's already got the mannerisms down. You can't see his mouth because we've had to go back to these old mics, which we should probably.
Shut up. Stop talking for a second.
Oh my God, it's so good.
It's hearing voices in my head, the left to the right. It's camera in my face for no reason. Sure, you're subscribing to this insanity. Something that what I actually do is Nolan North doing Christopher Walken is more my speed. He's fantastic. He's a good guy. Sure, listen to him. Games, TV, doesn't matter. He's everywhere. I'm everywhere. He's not.
One day, when we
Bro,
go to
you
LA,
gotta get
when we go to LA, we need to get him and Rosenbaum on the same show. Dude.
We gotta do that. A walking off.
You know Michael Rosenbaum? You know him?
Does
Oh,
Nolan,
yeah.
Nolan North do a good walking too?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that what
No.
you're saying? Oh no.
Nolan North literally does walk-in for like looping for movies.
Really?
Yeah, he was telling us that last time.
Nolan North does walk-in. So there's like
Oh my God, we've
there's
got
a lot
to
of
do it
studios
all
in
walking
town. There's like no
podcast.
walk-in. It's like no stairway in Wayne's World. It's
Yeah.
like no walk-ins. Everybody goes, I want to do my Christopher Walken, but everybody picks like their period.
Yeah.
Of like do you do like Dead Zone walk-in?
Yeah.
Do you do more like Deer Hunter walk-in?
What-
What do you do?
What's your walking? What's your period for walking?
Suicide Kings.
Oh yeah.
Of course. Long time since been out with the boys. Got a horrible thing. You are the man. Anyway, your Arnold's not bad. I think that you should like pick the most random, like that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I do Glenn Morshower. Like that would be. You need to look up that.
I don't even know who that is.
But you do. That's
Okay.
that's
Do
the
it
thing.
and let's see if we know him.
Glenn Morshower has been in every Michael Bay movie you've ever
Okay.
seen.
This is great.
Red hair. He played General
Oh, yes.
Morshower in Transformers 2. Even though he died in the first. Glenn Morshower is an amazing human being anyway, but he also played, if you played Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3? Yeah, I think it was Modern Warfare 3. He played Overlord. And he's like, we're picking up heavy resistance to the north. Hunter 1 to Hunter Actual. It's so good. So good.
This is
he was just-
so what are your go-to impressions, though?
I
mean, I hear you do a pretty good Joker.
That's a role.
Sure.
That's different.
you know what's so funny is that, and this is not to knock his performance at all, but Heath Ledger was really doing Tom Waits.
Really?
Yeah, even admitted he was like, I'm a huge Tom Waits fan, and if you watch any Tom Waits videos, he sounds like this.
That's where you got it from?
So that's where he got it from.
Interesting.
He's a huge Tom Waits fan, and just the whole mannerisms. It's great. Watch Tom Waits, even as like a 19-year-old on David Letterman. He's smoking, just not David Letterman, but anyway, look YouTube Tom Waits videos, and they're fucking incredible.
That's awesome.
I don't know, man. I was doing a Let's Play with Naomi Kyle and Brian Altano, and we ended up doing somehow like Jeff Goldblum, sound like in the mix, and we were talking about it, so you can do it if you want to. But yeah.
I always say Jeff Goldblum plays himself, and he's the same character.
Dude, he is. I've seen if you've never seen him play, he plays quite often now in LA. He's an incredibly accomplished jazz pianist. And I was flying to New York, and I sit down on my seat and everything. I look over, and I was like, "Oh shit." He's like, "Hi, I'm Jeff," and I was like, "Oh, I'm not." It was Jeff Goldblum. I got to sit next to him during a flight, and he is that guy. He's like, oh, he's very, very intelligent, of course. But you are Troy, and okay, that's good. The resolution, but I looked at his. I have an affinity for socks, and
these sock photos you post on Twitter all the time.
I was talking to I got a publicist in New York. I was like, where the fuck did the sock thing come from? I was like, dude, it was the most random thing that I could think of. But the philosophy is that life is too short to wear boring socks.
That's true.
And so everybody, you get on the plane, you pop your shoes off.
You gotta have the good socks.
No,
Nick taught me that one.
These are what am I rocking
Got some
today?
yellow polka dots going.
Yeah.
I actually just joined a sock club.
Sock of the month?
It's sock club.
Sock it to me?
Sock
Sock
Club
me.
London, and for I think it's something stupid. It's like 45 pounds, so it's like $60 or whatever. They send you a pair of socks every month.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. So anyway, I'm kind of getting out of my seat and I walk past and he's got his legs kicked up and we both have our feet off and he's got these Paul Smith socks. And I said, nice socks. He goes, oh. And then he looks down and we're like wearing similar socks. He goes, oh. It's like we're hip to each other in some way.
Can you do me a huge
Anyway.
favor next time you see Jeff Goldblum?
Yes.
Can you act like, oh fuck, it's Jeff Goldblum again? Can you just like can you just look at him like, oh,
JG, good to see you again, buddy. It's really kind of getting
I don't want
old.
to do this again.
Well, it's like a Curb Your
I just don't want to
Enthusiasm
go back
skit
into this
where
again.
like Larry David sees the same random people over and over again. He used to, like Wanda Sykes or something.
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
and he just ends up getting tired of seeing
Jeez.
them over and over again.
Yeah.
He actually does. He plays a lot of times. I'm completely blanking on the name of the club that he plays at a lot. But he plays piano like he talks. He's like, oh yeah, that's a very very good. Oh no. He goes like, and this yeah, I like that too. He's like, oh, that's good, really good. But he'll only play like that way. So it's like you'll get a snippet of a song, and he. Well, there it is.
God, that's so good.
Jeff
Are we gonna
Goldblum.
get the Jeff Goldblum piano remix album?
Oh my
God, that would be the ultimate. It'd be like, hey, Jeff Goldblum, please remix my album. You could do the remix and do the remix of it, and then remix the remix, and it would sound like a new album.
God damn it.
Anyway,
I would like this topic to go on forever.
Yeah, I know.
You have a
really
car to
would
catch
too.
at the airport, Mr. Baker.
we do. I'm gonna fly and get out of your hair, but I want to come back. I'm happy for you guys. I strongly support you. You guys have balls.
Thank you.
The size of my own for venturing out on your own and for doing
Thank you.
this.
Well, thank you for all the support.
Appreciate that.
Everybody pick up his album.
Please.
We promoted it yesterday. Sitting in the Fire.
Yep.
Get it everywhere.
Yep.
TroyBaker.net. Find out when he's coming to your town.
Done.
Buy his video games.
Yep.
Pressure him on Twitter to shave his beard.
No.
Why? Why would he?
By
do
the way,
that?
I want you guys to know something.
you
If you look in
can.
the confidence monitor over here, it does look a little bit like This Is the Last Supper. Do you see what I'm saying? Just a little, like a hipster Last Supper.
It's like the Silver Lake
Hipster
slash.
Last
We have our first poster for Kind of Funny store.
I see the one guy going like, but it's like this, like fuck you, yeah, man. I ordered Americano, bitch, and from Intelligentsia. Only people in Los Angeles got that.
All right. Troy Baker, what a lovely,
What a great guy.
what a
He makes
lovely
scarf.
gentleman.
He makes you feel a little incompetent, doesn't it?
He
Oh
makes
my
me
God.
feel like
And ugly?
if I were to
Makes
ever
me feel a little ugly.
He makes me feel ugly. That's a good way to put
It's
it.
not even the beauty factor of how beautiful the man is. It's the fact that he is just an ocean of interesting details.
Yeah.
I asked him why he choked up at the song, and I thought, oh, it reminded me of my grandmother or something like that.
Yeah.
It's
Nope.
this incredibly detailed story about Paris and this whole traumatic
He's an
life
artist.
shift.
The Notre Dame. Through and
I know.
through.
Yeah, yeah. God,
What's
we're
crazy,
just sitting
too-
here talking about G.I. Joes usually.
He comes in and he talks about bourbon for like a half hour. Then he starts talking about watches with Nick.
Yeah, he's very
For,
well.
I lost track of time. I
He's
needed
a
a watch.
he's a renaissance
He
man.
is a renaissance
and
man.
I really appreciate him.
I do too. I love Troy Baker.
I love that. I
Friend of
was
the show.
like, I guarantee Troy Baker's going to do an amazing Christopher Walken. And I just said it, and he just went into it. And it was like, you guys can't hear because you're not, well, you can hear, but you're not hearing it in the headphones.
Hey.
It's spot on. Like, if you close your eyes, it sounds like anything he's done in the last, I don't know, 20 years. It's Walken. Very talented individual. Stupidly talented. Makes me hate him.
I wanted to ask him when he makes his new record if I can do drums or percussion on one of his songs.
You should.
I'm gonna email him. And
I want to
ask
drop a hot verse.
I want to be the guy that
Jeff
sits-
Goldblum on piano.
I want to be like, what was his producer's name? John what?
yeah.
I want to be that guy because I want to just sit on the couch and chill out and then go into the forest and have like a moment. I didn't get a chance to ask him, Troy, what drug goes best with this crazy like hallucination album that he's made.
Oh, his concept album here?
Yeah.
Sitting in the Fire, available now everywhere. And
I'm guessing
TroyBaker.net.
opium. Do you think opium?
That's a hard drug. Probably mushrooms.
Do you think mushrooms?
Yeah, let's say
Comet
mushrooms
cleaner.
go. Let's
I think he's
Comet
clean. I think we're just,
reading into it.
Reading
Just like,
into it.
well,
Oh no,
we don't.
we're not saying that Troy Baker does drugs. We're
I'm saying
saying what drug accompanies the album.
what pairs
best.
well with
there
the
you
album.
go.
Yep.
Like, you know how when you
Coca-Cola.
have
You don't
wine
know.
and
Yeah, I was gonna say
cheese?
pure one. You have no idea. You haven't lived the life
Drugs
you've
are bad,
lived.
okay?
Have
They
you
are
ever
bad.
had 2 Advil? I'll tell you what.
Damn, I stay away from
I
it.
accidentally took 4 the other night. I go right to the emergency room.
So we rushed through the
Stomach
intro,
bumps.
of course, because we had to rush. We want to make sure we got as much time with Troy for you, the viewer, as possible. I do want to double back to something that's important. You may have noticed. I'm sure you've been commenting in the comments below. We're using the old mics.
Ooh, they're back.
We heard you loud and clear that the lapels are great for the live stream because there's only 2 of us. But when we do the lapels for the 4-man streams, it doesn't work out that well. At least in this room because it's echoey.
Yeah, this room's not exactly. This room for a sound engineer is a nightmare. Weird angles, low ceiling, like just an open closet, a window,
An entire wall of glass.
Yeah, like it's just like
Greg's
holy
in it,
shit.
screaming.
What's
I
funny
do.
is the open closet actually maybe helps out a little bit because the clothes at least damp.
Yeah, it's damp. It's dampened, but
Damp and dank.
Damn.
But
yeah, you guys will hear. I mean, we talked about this, and as we do everything, we vote, and then whoever just gets loudest probably usually wins. We had a nice civil discussion about this, and we decided we'd go back to it. And now listening to you guys through these headphones again,
Arguably.
is no contest.
yeah.
It's
So
one of
we
the-
do it.
doesn't
I
go
mean, we
with
sincerely apologize.
Yeah,
for
sorry
that,
about that, guys.
Yeah, it's one of those, for a long time people talked about our faces getting
Right.
hidden, but then when our faces were exposed, I don't think anybody was like thinking it was that much better.
Yay!
Yeah, they were like, "Hey, we'd rather be able to."
We'd
hear
rather
you and
be
not
able
have
to-
You know
it
what?
sound
Go
like
back behind the
muffled
mic.
You know what?
shit.
We try. Oh God, I didn't know Colin's beard looked like that. Pull it back. Pull it back a bit.
Also, I feel like we're doing so much content now that features us outside of the room
Sure.
that it's okay to have one piece of content go up a day that looks like we all have giant comical mouths.
Right.
You know,
Oh,
which is
mouths.
fine.
Well, we're
Oh,
not
mouth.
blocked at all.
You and I
Okay,
aren't.
We're fine.
Well, I get up here a lot.
But
Colin,
now you got to
Colin
deal with
rides
my
it. Colin
back
gets
fat
right in
issue.
there.
I'm like
this is
right
how
here.
you use the microphone.
Yeah,
That's always been.
But I sound good. But I'm,
You sound
I'm
great.
really loud, so that's probably.
Yeah, you
me getting
uh,
back away
you,
from it's a good idea.
I was gonna say you enunciate, but that's not true. You project.
Yeah, I project a lot.
You do. When you get loud, by the way, it literally sounds like someone slammed into my ears,
I'm sorry.
and I like it. It wakes me up.
I've often
Stabbed
thought
you with
like
needles.
it's one of those things back at IGN when we do Let's Plays and people would yell at me that I'm too loud. It's when they would give me the headset and leave it cranked up that I would be quieter. And I mean that'd probably be the easiest way to rein me in because I just don't know.
Well, that's what happened to Tim on the
fun.
first episode of the
Oh
Gamescast.
yeah, my God.
And that's the thing that people have to get. That's the thing people have to get used to. I mean, we've talked about it on the. Well, actually, no, we didn't talk about it on the show. Like, I was talking last week about how I think I have tinnitus because I played drums for years without ear protection.
Yeah.
And that was the same thing. It's like I need to hear myself playing, and when I have my headphones on or noise cancels, I don't feel like I'm being loud enough because I'm not. So it's like a weird. It's like a weird kind of. You need to hear yourself. That's why all musicians are fucking.
It was the weirdest thing though. The first episode of Gamecast, when I had the headphones on, I just couldn't be me. Like I was just like,
It takes-
I felt
it takes a little-
super constrained. I was like, oh.
It takes
I
a
was all
lot
timid and
of
shit.
getting
Timid.
used to. You were
Timid.
timid.
Yeah, can't spell timid without Tim.
You'll get it. I mean, you're gonna do it. We're doing another one tomorrow. We'll put you on the board. This board sounds better, by the way, and you can actually just turn down the monitors a little bit so you can't really hear yourself.
Turn down for what?
Turn down for what? But I recommend it. It's actually interesting because I've noticed since I started doing this podcast, my dad actually noticed. He was watching the other day and he was like, because normally I speak so quickly and I kind of mumble a little
Yeah.
bit. He's like, when you're on camera, you speak. I enunciate a lot better and I slow down my speech a little bit, and it's because I can hear myself.
Gotcha.
It's crazy. It's like speech therapy, so to speak.
I did a business call today for Kind of Funny with a business partner or a business that wants to partner with us. And the woman on the other end of the phone isn't really in our industry, but she's seen me at events before, like when I host panels. And so I was just rambling about what we do and how we do it. And she's just like, wow. And I'm like, I know, it's impressive, right? And she's like, no, you talk like that all the time.
Yeah.
I thought you just talked, that was like your persona on stage.
No,
but no, that's
it's a
how
thing.
you talk. I'm like, yeah, it is.
What business? Should we just call it Business X for now?
Oh yeah, that's
Business
cool.
X.
Business X.
Business X.
Business X CEOY.
Nick, what's your topic?
My topic usually comes from the community, guys, and I'm sorry this time I'm gonna actually do one of my own.
Yo,
Remember,
fuck you, community.
if you have topics
Gave
for the
us
show,
all those G's. Now we're out. No, we're
I've
kidding.
got
We love you. We're
I've
so
gotten all
sorry.
your
I'm so
topics.
sorry.
I've got a list of them. Remember, tweet at me, Nick _Scarpino. If you have topics for the show, please put GOG topic in the subject line.
If you
or
want
in
to
the
see us
tweet.
sponsored by Portillo's, tweet
I love
at
Nick.
Nick Scarpino, no underscore.
No underscore.
He
But
loves
please-
that. I heard he was really into that.
He's super into it.
Dude,
He loves it.
he loves it.
He's probably
just,
got at least 100 Twitter followers. From this.
Yeah, he's just playing some goofy thing. And everybody talks to me about it too. When they when I did my final up at noon with Troy the other day, I was talking to the audience and they were like, "That's crazy." And I'm like, "What?" And it's the fact that there's a Nick Scarpino. The world's so small for you guys that the other Nick Scarpino gets hired by your favorite restaurant. I'm like, I don't know.
It's just it's
Things
kismet, as
happen,
they
man.
say. So I'm going to be a little selfish this time, and I'm going to do one of my own topics, and it's a topic I've wanted to do for a very, very, very long time. I want to talk about film, and I want to talk specifically about what were the best movies of 2014. Let's crank it back. Let's
I love
rewind
this.
it.
I'm
Let's
rewinding the
rewind
film.
it.
Unpack it.
Let's
And
putting
let's unpack this.
Unpack all the
I
cells
just
of
watched
the film.
the Golden Globes. Now, the Golden Globes, as everyone knows, used to be kind of a joke. Now it is sort of like a feeder to the Oscars. So if you win a Golden Globe, people are saying, oh, you're a shoo-in to get an Oscar. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but most of the time it does. So it reminded me of all the great films that have come out this year. You got films like Inception. You've got films.
Inception did not come out this year.
Not Inception, excuse me. Interstellar. Why do I always get those two confused?
I was gonna say, wow, that came out that last year. I thought I saw that like 3 years.
Gone Girl.
Like it was that
You've got
Anaconda.
Gone Girl. So I wanted to go around the table and ask. I mean, it doesn't have to be critically acclaimed films. Just films that stuck out for you in 2014. And maybe we'll do another topic on next week's show when we've done a little research and figured out what we're excited about for 2015 because we're at the beginning of that year as well.
Yes.
But just right now, specifically,
Avengers 2. That's what I'm
Furious
excited for.
7 is
Fuck that.
definitely number 1.
Still haven't seen 6 'cause
Furious
I'm friends.
7, Star Wars 7, and then it could be other stuff.
Is
in
Star Wars
that
this year?
order.
Didn't he ask which was
I
the
didn't pay
favorite
attention.
movie first, though?
Yeah, but we
What's
just
your
jumped to the interesting part of the conversation.
all right, well, I mean, we can talk about
What
that,
was
but-
last year's favorite movie?
For me, it's Gone Girl. I
Yeah,
have
I
to
like
give it
that
to
a
that. Like Guardians was really great, and
Guardians was this year.
like Guardians was fun. It was a lot of fun. But like Gone Girl, I went into it knowing absolutely nothing, which
Yeah.
is the only way to go into
Yeah.
that. And I
You and everyone else that saw Guardians.
Exactly.
Because
No.
no one read that comic book.
no, Gone
He was
Girl.
talking about Gone
Oh,
Girl.
Gone Girl.
Yeah, I read Guardians going into it.
Before
Anyways,
the movie came out, you're like, I gotta know everything about this.
Gone
so I can
Girl.
do Easter eggs.
went into it and I'm like, whatever, it's gonna be okay. And I was blown away by it. I was like so into it, so intrigued. It reminded me a lot of Death Note, which, as you all know, I enjoy quite some bits. This anime,
Quite good.
and it's similar in a lot of ways, just in the way it's set up and just like how the story develops and all the twists and stuff. And oh man, I was just the entire time I was engaged. I had no idea what was happening
Yeah.
next, and I wanted to know what was going to happen. And it was great. I loved it. And like some people are upset with the ending. I have a feeling this topic might get a little spoilery, so unless we hold back from that. But
Does anyone care out there?
About Gone Girl?
Yeah.
I care. I mean,
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
Oh yeah.
But
okay.
so a lot of people are upset with
Preferably.
the end. I'm not upset with the end at all.
Nah,
I thought
me
it was
neither.
totally fine.
Yeah.
My question to
It's
people,
an upsetting end.
yes, exactly.
But
it's
I wasn't
supposed
like,
to be.
oh, what is this garbage?
Yeah, but my thing with
supposed
that
to
is
be
it's whenever people say stuff like that, I always am like, what would you have rathered? And I know it's not their job to come up with that, but no one's ever given me a good answer. It's always just like
the only reason, without getting super spoilery, that I was upset with the ending was because it had a few leaps of logic that I just couldn't wrap my head around.
fair enough.
And that was my only. And Sean Finnegan and I got into this where he was like, "No, I think they set it up well," and they did set it up well, but it wasn't the sort of this. It's not really a twist at the end. It just kind of ends in a weird and
Yeah.
odd way.
It ends in a checkmate.
Yeah,
The
where
end is fine. I'd say that like the
build
leading
up to
into
that,
the very, very
you're
end,
like,
it's
why
like there's
would-
no way
no,
that would
there's no
happen in
way.
real life.
And
Whereas
so-
the rest of the movie was so realistic
Real, right?
where it could have happened.
And so that's the only flaw with that film. I liked Ben Affleck in it. I liked Rosamund Pike.
Aliens.
Liked Aliens.
I was ruining the movie
Yeah.
for him.
Oh yeah, it ends with
Everything's
aliens.
totally normal. There's this investigation.
actually-
It's a
and then
spin-off
just-
of Aliens.
It is a prequel to Fire in the Sky,
Nice.
which is crazy.
It turns out at the end it happened in the same Independence Day universe, and this is the prequel to
Whose butts are they probing in?
it was
that-
all
in-
happening in DB Sweeney's butt.
Oh, okay.
The
oh,
whole,
that's
the
interesting.
entire movie
Yeah.
happens in his
Small
in his
aliens.
anus, in his orifice.
Small aliens.
Small aliens. That movie was phenomenal. That actually took me by surprise too. My wife is one of those people who reads the book every single time and then proceeds
Before?
to tell me, yeah, she reads a ton. And so what happens is she finds the book, reads it, and then a year or two later they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we're making a movie out of this." She goes, "No." So she's always that person that's like, "The book was better. The book was better. The book was better." I'm like, "Just tell
The
me what
book's
happened."
almost always better.
In this one, she was like, "This is pretty spot on, though."
Well, I
She was
heard
like,
that.
"This is exactly
So
what happened."
the writer of the book, Gillian Flynn,
Sure, Jillian, maybe.
Jillian, I don't know. I'm stupid.
To Gillian on her 37th birthday. It's Gillian.
Jillian?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, anyway, so she was one of the screenwriters. Like, so she actually worked
Yes.
on the movie version. So there was changes, but they were her changes.
Yeah.
So that's why it holds up.
Which is clutch, and that's never the case.
Yeah.
They very, very seldom let the actual author work as the screenwriter.
This is why I hold out hope for the Last of Us movie. Neil Druckmann's there.
He is
He's
there.
making sure it happens. He's got a big bushy
well, it's
beard.
his IP.
All right, so Gone Girl, definitely on the list for me. Guardians, I had a great time, but I would never sit there and be like, it was the best movie I saw.
That's
this
the
year.
thing. Like, I wouldn't either, but as soon as you asked that question,
That's what popped in your head?
it popped in my head. So
Yeah.
gotta give it
Interstellar,
a
I
mention.
think I would love, but I never saw it because they just won't put it on demand yet.
I
Get it
Interstellar,
on
I haven't
seen
demand.
that either.
It was good. It wasn't Gone Girl to me. Like, it was good. I really liked it. There's a half hour of that movie that I fucking hate. I think is garbage, and it doesn't make any sense.
It's a Nolan movie.
But it's weird because it's not the
There's
last
always-
half hour. It's not the first half
No.
hour. It's just a random half hour.
There's the spot from there's a few problems with that film. and I've noticed this about Nolan, is that Nolan is not a perfect filmmaker, and there's no such thing as a perfect filmmaker. There's no such thing as a perfect artist, right? There's no such thing as a
Mike
perfect
Aransky.
game. Mike Aransky is amazing. Phobia, check it out. It's in Walgreens. No, Walmart.
I really hope it's in
I was like, dude, it'd be
Walgreens.
dope if it was in Walgreens. I was like, oh, it's right next to the Lucky Charms. But you know, I just sort of take Nolan at what he does, and he's a grand storyteller. And some parts of those stories, I'm just gonna be like, this is a little weird. It can't be. It's a 3-hour epic, so at some point you're gonna be like, so we had a lot of character development at the beginning. Then right around the second act, all of a sudden they do like a little quick training montage, and this dude that hasn't trained to be an astronaut in like 20 years,
He's just chilling.
boom, we're up.
Yeah.
We're up. Like we got that awesome IMAX shot of the ring, like the Colin, you got to watch this movie because you would love this. They have the beautiful shots of the ship breaking apart as it's going into the stratosphere and like the outer atmosphere and things like that. And you're like, okay, they're in space, and then
Then all of a sudden,
they're at the
there's
thing.
a celebrity homie guest appearance. that
Yeah,
we're
well,
not
that-
gonna
well,
spoil.
Let me spoil everything here. Now.
like,
Come
what?
on.
That was weird.
Now this sounds just. I mean, it sounds a lot like Dark Knight Rises. Here's a montage of Bruce Wayne getting his groove back after getting the robot leg and all this other crap. And it's like, wait a second, you couldn't walk around a second ago.
He likes to,
But it was that without the montage. There was no montage.
yeah. He just kind of is.
He
in
just
space.
went to space.
I thought you just said there was astronaut montage.
No, there's
There's
like
not, though.
one.
I'm just
like-
saying. I don't watch this movie. I don't know
There's
what's
the
happening.
obligatory Nolan, hey, this movie is really complex, so we're going to show you 5 quick kind of montage-y like scenes where we explain the science behind all this.
Gotcha.
Right? So they're in the boardroom, and they're like, oh no, something put this black hole here. We know there's something on the other side of it. We've sent people there before. We haven't got in contact with them. Then they're like walking around. There's 3 planets we have to go to. Then they're like chilling at the snack bar, like eating the Snickers. And the guy and like Michael Caine's like,
They're not
well,
eating
you got to leave your daughter behind. And he's like, so basically the entire movie is told in these like this little vignette.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Then we go to space. And some weird shit happens.
Yeah, don't tell me about it.
Really weird shit happens.
Do they
but
find
it's
Jodie
so
Foster?
beautifully filmed. They do not. No.
What
they
if
do not
that
make
was the
contact.
crossover?
I mean, the weird thing is what they're gonna find is that she fell right through to the ground, but there was 18 minutes of static on the video, and that is the big problem.
Contact.
Another story where the book is better than the movie, but the movie was awesome. Carl
movie was
Sagan.
pretty good.
Carl Sagan, what?
Carl's like, what?
I'll say what. Tim, do me a favor. That's bugging me. Just move that Velcro strap down so it doesn't look like your cord has a penis.
This thing there. Move it down.
Just move it. Just scoot it
or
down a little
roll
bit.
it together.
That's fine.
Here's what I want to talk about for 2014 movies.
Mm-hmm.
For me, as someone who doesn't watch movies often, it was finally the year of the digital movie, where I finally got to watch everything on,
you watch The
on the
Interview?
demand. I still haven't watched The Interview. I don't watch a lot of movies here.
What's
Stick
funny
with
is
me.
you get what you ask for.
I know.
North Korea hacked our Sony.
Yeah.
Instead
Hacked
of
our Sony.
hacked our Sony.
And they are our Sony.
They hacked a major motion picture studio,
Yeah.
and this big movie. Did you guys watch the Golden Globes at all?
No.
No.
Amy Poehler and Tina Fey had a great joke about the interview where she was like, and we all had to pretend like we were going to go see it.
Yeah.
None of us actually saw it, but they get hacked. It comes out day and date on digital. Like
Yep.
2 days later, it's
Yep.
already on Xbox. It's on it's everywhere you want to be, and
Yep.
you still don't watch it.
Yeah, but that's not what he wanted, though. It's another movie. You know,
No,
if it was
here-
X-Men.
Here's the
that'd be
problem that
different.
I'm sure you can attest to in this.
Yeah.
I'm calling to an extent too. Tim not because he's the pure one. The problem with watching movies is that I'm in a committed relationship. Which means when I do have 2 hours
Right.
where I'm like, I want to watch not a video game. I want to have somebody, like I was talking about on Colin and Greg Live today. I want something to speak at me. I don't want to speak to it.
Right.
I have to go through the queue, and my queue is stacked with movies I want to see,
Yeah.
but that Christine has no interest. She doesn't
Yeah,
want to see the
it's
interview. She doesn't want to see Snowpiercer. She doesn't want to see Dallas Buyers Club. So it's like, well, whatever.
It's
then.
so frustrating because like I have that problem too, where I'm like, oh, there's this great documentary. You want to watch this movie? And no, I just want to watch The Good Wife.
Yeah, see,
I'm
I
like,
feel
all right,
like
that's fine.
I need to
Great.
get with Steimer because then me and Steimer can just watch Spice World over and
I've
over.
thought about that actually.
Yeah,
Trading
just
off
trading
to
off?
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We have similar tastes.
I'm sure she would much rather trade me for you as well.
just
too.
for
Yeah.
Spice World.
No,
Make it worth
just
it.
for
Just
you.
generally.
You're younger. You're
There's
hotter.
there's a
you
quote
got
in
more
that
going
movie.
for you.
It said, "Hold on to your knickers, girls," and then they start driving the bus fast. Classic.
There's aliens in that movie. Spice World's a weird movie.
Spice
It's a
World
really
is
weird
weird.
movie. It's got Roger Moore in it though.
But I
right?
watched a lot of stuff on demand. Here's the thing: now that everything's on demand, this is something I never did in the video store, and I would never do with a movie theater. Is that I take chances now.
Yeah.
Christine and I will sit there. We will go through Amazon. We will pack the watch list with things we watch the trailers for, and it's like, what if with Daniel Radcliffe? I'm like, oh, that could be good. Whatever.
movie.
Yeah,
It's a good
exactly.
movie, actually.
And then like Ruby Sparks. Now this isn't a 2014 movie, but to me they are. This is one of the big things, right? Ruby Sparks we drop in there. That looks interesting. You know, Life After Beth. Which there's not a chance in hell I would have seen, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's like a rom-com zombie movie or whatever with Aubrey Plaza.
But you won't watch That's My Boy. You still won't watch That's My Boy.
You have never invited me back to watch.
Well,
That's
you
My
said
Boy.
no once to That's My Boy. It's not like I'm
It
going to assume
lost
that
in
you're.
a vote in the living room.
my
I
God.
had chemo
This
too.
is one of
I
the
had
stories
chemo
of this
brain.
household.
I had chemo brain. I wasn't thinking clear.
No, you clearly weren't
What
thinking
did
clear
it
because we
lose
even
to,
watched.
Little Nicky?
It
No,
lost.
we went to no. It lost to Rock of Ages.
Oh shit!
And I was sitting there. I'm like, let's watch the trailer. And it's so funny with the new Kids on the Block tattoo and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, this is great. It's great Adam Sandler. And they're like, oh, you want to watch Rock Ages? I'm like, all right, I'm out. And they enjoyed it. I'm like, how was that, guys? You
was
glad
terrible.
you
It was
didn't you
really
glad
bad.
you didn't watch That's My Boy? Had a few laughs. Guy gets nailed with a baseball. I think in one part of the movie.
Probably.
There's always the baseball. There's always the baseball bat to the nuts in every
Yeah.
Adam Sandler
Yeah.
movie. It's a
So,
classic.
That was a rare Greg Miller miss.
Yeah. Oh, not as rare as you might think. But speaking of which, by the way, Greg and I were watching Happy Gilmore a week or two ago, and Billy Madison I watched a few days ago. It was on TV. Man, those movies are still so
Billy
really
Madison.
good.
So good.
Now here's the best movie of last year, and it came out at Christmas 2013, so I'm going to allow it.
Sure. I'll allow it.
Wolf of Wall Street. Now I just
Yeah.
saw it not too long ago,
on
and that
Netflix.
movie is fantastic.
Such a good movie.
First of all,
I still haven't seen it, so I'm gonna have to pull the spoiler.
Oh yeah, no,
There's a lot of hot naked
spoilers.
women in
You
it.
cannot
No spoilers.
spoil this
I'll
movie.
tell you
Okay,
that much of it
okay.
takes place on Long Island, which gives it many extra
Get the
points.
points.
Yeah.
My girlfriend and I were watching because we watched Django Unchained, which I never seen, and then the next day we watched The Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, you're
and
living.
I was like, because I'm trying to catch up on the kind of the staples that I
Yeah,
missed. And because I really am trying to make an attempt to see many more films this year as they come out, as opposed to like going back. And man, Leonardo DiCaprio is just. I really feel like the best actor
He's that dude.
of our time. Like I really feel that way. Like he's incredible. And when I think about him on Growing Pains, and I think about him even in Titanic, and like everyone just thought he was hot and he was handsome. But Romeo and Juliet, like when
Right.
everyone's like, oh, he's just so hot, he's like kind of a heartthrob, like JTT
Yeah.
or something like that. Never in the '90s did I ever think that this guy was gonna be the
That guy.
seminal
Like the
actor of our
defining actor,
time.
yeah.
The same thing with I always forget his name. I don't know why I always forget his name. The guy that was in Third Rock from the Sun, and now he's like
Joseph
Joseph
Gordon.
Gordon.
like he's another
Yeah.
guy where I'm like he's just a character in this random
he has
sitcom.
long hair. That's cute.
And like
He's-
now he's like an amazing broad
Don John.
actor. That movie was weird. I saw that movie. That movie was
It was,
fucking
it
weird.
was a little weird, but if he's in a great film called Brick, if you get a chance to see it, it's Ryan
Brink?
Johnson. Brick.
I know.
No,
It's,
not
it's,
Brink.
it's a long-going Finnegan joke. He's
Jeez
watching.
Louise.
He'll appreciate it.
If you get a chance,
Premium
I don't
Rush?
think it's on Netflix anymore, but Brink. Shit.
yes.
Brick is an amazing film. It's Ryan Johnson's first film. He's not first film. I think he did Brothers Bloom first, but then he did Brick,
Brick's
and
the
then
one-
he did Looper.
The one about rollerblading.
No, Brick's the one with like the kids.
It's a film noir.
right?
It's a
got-
noir film in high school about
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's got the
criminals.
hand is the cover, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Looper, I like. That was the one
I did
about
like
the
Looper.
that was the one about the kid that like went crazy, right, with his superpowers.
He had superpowers, yeah.
But then he went
Spoilers.
like nuts.
Well, he was going to become a bad guy, and Bruce
Yes.
Willis.
They went with his
It's
dad
time
and all that
travel,
kind of.
It's Joseph Gordon-Levitt versus Bruce Willis, and they're both the same person from different time.
Oh,
You
no,
know
maybe,
what's Chronicle?
yeah, that's the
you're-
one I'm thinking of.
Chronicles.
Sorry,
That's,
I was
that's
like
Dane
Chronicles.
Shout out
DeHaan,
to Max
that's how he
Landis.
got- That was a good one.
Yeah,
He's
I
coming
saw
on the
that
show
one
eventually.
randomly in the movie there. Also, one of the best movies of 2014 is, and it's still, and it didn't even come out in 2014.
Lincoln.
Is obviously The Dark Knight Rises. Now, I'm gonna take issue with you saying Christopher Nolan's a flawed filmmaker, and he might.
He's a
be.
great filmmaker.
He might be. Well, he's got just like everyone. He's got his
He's
flaws,
got.
right?
I'm saying he doesn't make a perfect film.
But the Dark Knight Rises was so perfect that it actually became the best movie of 2014, in addition to being the best movie of 2013, and it was even the best movie of 2012.
if
somehow.
you had to pinpoint one character, one character arc in that
Right.
film that really kind of nailed and like hammered it home for you,
Right.
who would it be?
Bane, and I'm going to tell you why.
Why is that?
Because it all started in the very beginning on the plane,
Yeah.
and when they
from
have
small
the
beginnings.
they have the bag over his head.
Yeah.
And they're asking him if he talks and he has anything to say, and they take the bag off, and he basically goes into his whole diatribe about that they didn't care about him until he put on the
They
mask,
didn't care about him.
and that that they needed to find someone in the wreckage, and that was
Right.
really the moment that I really understood that this movie was going to be perfect, and from beginning to end.
I
It
mean,
was
it's one of those
exactly
things
what
where
you thought it was
like are you guys familiar with the movie Selma? That's the biography about Martin Luther King.
Yes.
Jr.
I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't
'Cause
watched
it's not
it
on
either.
demand.
No, it's not.
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm familiar with it.
They say that it's a very, very good character study on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But they also say that it is just a tick below Bane.
I was waiting for
just-
where I was like, where's
Where are
the
we going
punchline
with
coming?
this? Yeah.
This was my thing when when this topic was suggested early. I was just like, Colin and I will have nothing to say on this topic, and we will only derail it. And I'm
no,
glad
that's-
we've established that.
That's what this is, though. Going back to Wolf of Wall Street, I will say that you said Django Unchained. That's my movie of last year.
Great movie.
For sure.
Great movie.
Love
Yeah,
that
really
movie.
fantastic.
That might be my favorite movie of all time.
Got
And
to
I know
see a
that
great
shows
shot
how
of-
young and stupid I
Have
am.
you?
It's fantastic.
And my question for Colin, real quick. I'm sorry, before we get off of Django Unchained there, and you're talking about how much you love Leonardo DiCaprio. Do you know any of the stories behind that? Like when he breaks the glass and he cuts his hand.
Yeah.
Like that just happened. That
Oh,
wasn't on
okay,
purpose.
'cause
And so like to watch that scene again and think about that, where he's bleeding and he's still doing it, and then he wipes his blood all over his face. It's like fuck.
That's crazy, just in the sense that Cheryl and I were talking about that scene, and I was like, and she was like, and it was a good point. She's like, what happened? Like, did we miss? Like, why is his hand bleeding?
Oh, he slams his glass down at one point and it shatters in his hand.
No, I know, but like, it happened, I guess, quickly. And we didn't realize.
Sure.
Like, and so yeah, he's an actor, man.
Yeah.
And then he did rub his blood all over that person or
Yeah.
whatever, and I'm sure they loved that and they really enjoyed that.
Hey, they'll take it.
Yeah. I will tell you one thing about the Wolf of Wall Street. that
I cut him off. He was making a point.
Sorry,
Well,
continue.
that'll lead into this. So Django, I saw that and I loved it, and then pretty soon after, if I remember correctly, unless I'm totally off on this, Wolf of Wall Street came out. And then I just didn't have enough time because I heard it was super long, and I was just like, I can't watch this yet. But then every single person I know that watched it was like, Tim, this is your movie. You need to watch this because this character is super schemy. Like, you will love him. And I'm like, all right.
So
Is this correct?
Oh, 100% correct. The reason why the movie's so good is because it is a classic return to form for Martin Scorsese. It is. I watched that movie, then I immediately, like, either that night or the next day, watched Casino. And I was like, dude, that's
a great movie.
So good at just letting you be a part, like a bird on the wire, to watch this crazy story unfold through, like, and he tells it just these epic tales, and that's old school classic Martin Scorsese,
Right,
where
right.
he kind of lost his way a little bit there. Like, he hadn't done a film like that in a while, and you get, like, Gangs of New York was okay. He just did some really interesting films, and then finally decided, hey, I've got this great character, very flawed character, but very interesting character. I'm going to tell this crazy story about him.
Yeah.
And the way the movie opens, do you guys remember the opening shot?
Of Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah.
I know that he does blow off somebody's butt, but is that that's the opening?
I believe that's the opening shot.
Right.
Yeah.
Holy crap! I need to
So,
watch this
like, he's
movie.
not doing it off her butt. I believe he's putting it in her butt.
Okay.
I mean, if you're gonna.
Classy.
Yeah.
And he
Real
has-
quick for the fact, if we're establishing that that's the opening scene, I then want you to imagine me watching this in one of those, like, the tiny little theaters, like the boutique theaters with the nice recliners and the thing, with Seimer's parents,
Oh,
who I
great.
convinced to go see this movie.
Yeah.
So it was totally like,
Oh
this is all
man,
me.
I
Was
would have
it-
known. You should have known better.
No, that was my thing, is that Seimer's parents are down-ass parents, and they
Yeah.
are cool, and they understood Martin Scorsese, and they understood it was going to be, like,
Yeah.
violent and sexy, but I don't think a butthole
There's
in the
There's
first
no
scene is
parent
what we
cool
need.
enough for
Like, he
for
literally
the
has a
butthole.
Coke straw and he's, like, blowing it.
Yeah.
That's explicit.
I had to
Dude,
watch Scary Movie with my mom, and that was awkward.
I had to watch.
a great movie.
What did I watch with my mom? I think I watched Memento with my mom, and she kept getting up to go do laundry and coming back. Memento, by the way, is a movie. I think it's another Christopher Nolan film. No, is it Nolan?
It might be. I think so.
Told backward.
I'm checking.
The movie
Yes.
runs backward. So my mom's like, I don't understand what's happening. I'm like, you stop.
You can't leave.
You're never gonna know. Just
Yeah,
leave.
just-
Just write this one off. The movie
Put this
Wolf
up
of Wall
under the
Street.
losses.
I know. We're supposed to be talking about 2014 films, but you would love
It's
it.
us.
There are
Wolf
he
of Wall
has
Street's technically a 2014.
classic Martin Scorsese main character asides, where they stop for a second and just talk directly to you. And there's one in particular that's so good. He goes, "Here's what I'm doing," and he's like, and he goes through his whole spiel of how he's conning people out of money. And he gets halfway through it, and he goes, wait a minute, what am I talking about? You don't understand any of this shit. Who gives a fuck? And, like, walks over, and then that's when they go into, like, the midget throwing part.
Sorry, what?
Midget tossing.
Yeah, it's a weird-
I believe it's
tossing.
little people.
Little people talking.
I think in the movie they
Pardon
call
me.
it midget
It's a weird-
tossing.
They
but
do,
to be
that's,
clear.
yeah.
I want to give a shout out real quick. I mean, not that I'm a font of knowledge.
He did
about,
do Memento.
about actors, but I really got to give a shout out. Obviously Leo is the star of that film, just like he was the star of Django Unchained, and we waited so long to even see him in that movie. It was like halfway through the movie until you get to meet him, which is so cool. You're like waiting. But Jonah Hill was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And like
God, he was
I really like I was telling Charlotte, like I really underestimated him like as an actor. Like I didn't know he had that in him. Like that was a really really good performance.
You know the story behind that, right? He
didn't he like take like no money?
crazy to do that. Yeah, and he made like nothing off of it.
I heard he made like
$60,000
$60,000 or something.
He was just like he was like hunted Martin Scorsese down and was like, I am from this part of the world. Like I guess he was from Long Island, I guess, or wherever the story actually unfolded. He's like, I'm from where this guy's from. I know who this guy is. I grew up with these guys. Like, you gotta let me do this role. And Scorsese's like, dude, you're a comedian. Like, it's not you're not a serious actor. And he's like, I can nail this, and stayed after it. And after like a year and a half or 2 years, his agent finally called him and said, you got it. But he had to agree to do it for like scale.
Yeah,
So he
apparently
got no money, right?
Apparently he got as far I was reading about it, and apparently he got the SAG or whatever, like
SAG
minimum wage.
Yeah.
But then he got back end royalties on
Yeah.
it.
He was great in Django
SAG
too.
minimum's like, it's like, I don't know what it is now, but it used to be like, I think it was like 200 a day or something like that. Maybe 500.
Yeah, he like
max.
made, I think they said he made $60,000 like upfront off the movie, which is like, you know, dick to an actor of that caliber or whatever.
Don't mean nothing.
That's half a day shoot on 23 Jump Street.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, no, he made it back in other ways, I guess. But yeah, that was a really extraordinary movie. And you know what it reminded me of, and I know you'll appreciate this, Nick, specifically. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie because it was kind of like a little under the radar, late 90s, early 2000s. Because it's the same theme in the same place, takes place on Long Island, in the movie Boiler Room. And that movie is awesome. That movie's
so
really
good.
Ben Affleck's in it. It's got like a weird cast, but it's
Giovanni
about
Ribisi.
guys
good.
out east on Long Island that are running this like totally
Not
fucking
Ponzi
illegal
scheme,
penny stock kind of scheme. It's almost the same story.
Yeah.
But it's like a little more low budge, and it's about like it's really interesting. It's about a guy. They find him. He lives in Queens. He's like running an illegal casino out of his house, and they convince him to like go be with like their stockbrokers out east. Vin Diesel's in it.
Good.
You'd like it.
I think people out there would really enjoy it. It's
I
called
think
Boiler Room.
Ben Affleck's only in it for like the first scene or something.
Yeah,
They got him
he
beat
gives
in
an
it.
awesome speech.
He throws his like, those are the keys to my Ferrari.
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah,
very
exactly.
Glenn Ross.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's like, he says something which I thought was the funniest thing. He says, one of his lines was, "People who say money is the root of all evil never had any."
Yeah.
And that line like always stuck with me. I was like, that's interesting writing.
You're like, I'm gonna base my life on that.
Yeah.
One day I'll quit IGN and start a business, and maybe we'll
So I recommend that movie. But yeah, I think with the exception of Dark Knight Rises, the best movie of 2014 was. And I'm kidding.
I
out there.
think-
Don't tweet me. I know Dark Knight Rises didn't come out last year.
Yes.
It might as well because it was
should
still
have.
just on the forefront of my mind.
On the logic you have, neither did
No,
Wolf
no.
of Wall Street. So
Most people saw Wolf of Wall Street in 2014. Though
I
I'll wager to say they only had 6 days to see it in 2013.
That's true because it came out at Christmas, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It might as well be a 2014 movie.
That's why I said I'm gonna allow it. I'm gonna allow it.
There's another film that came out that I always forget about because it came out. It was one of those on the cusp. They released it. I think they released it like right in January, maybe February. I could be wrong. Watched it on demand. Was disappointed that I couldn't give this movie more money. Like I almost want to go buy it because it was that good and unique. It's called The Grand Budapest Hotel.
Oh, see, everyone. I've seen so much about this, but I haven't watched it.
It's a Wes Anderson film. Wes
Who
Anderson, of
I
course.
used to be so into.
He has hit the pinnacle of his art form
Really?
with this. And I am not being pretentious or facetious in any way, shape, or form. This movie is so utterly endearing. Like it is. He did Moonrise Kingdom. He did the Life Aquatic, Royal Tenenbaums. None of those films had this movie's sort of heart and soul to it. And they had their own heart and soul, but they weren't as accessible as this is. This hit on such a unique and just deeply sentimental note for me.
Nice.
And anyone that I know that's watched it was just like far and away best, most emotional movie of the year to me.
Wow.
It's so well done, and the style of it, because he uses miniatures for everything, and like all the cameos of all the guys that he's worked with, including Bill Murray and Owens. What's his name? The guy that looks like Fran.
Oh, Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah, Jason Schwartzman. All these guys are in this, and you're just like, it's so. And Ray Fiennes is the main character, and he just knocks it out of the park. It's so good. Definitely watch it. Pay to watch it, for Christ's sake. Give Wes Anderson some money.
That's the thing about I like Wes Anderson films in general. Like I said, for some reason I fell off. I think Life Aquatic didn't hit for me personally. Like I was such a huge Rushmore fan. You know what I mean? I like Bottle Rocket too.
Bottle
Rocket's the best.
And then it was one of those things of like for some reason it just deviated enough for me where I didn't keep up with it. And like I like the idea of when you find a director who has the cast he loves or she loves, and they find new. It's like a toy box, right? You put down this toy box and you put those people in different roles and do different things with them, and you know them so well. And that's one of the reasons I love Kevin Smith's stuff so much, because he uses the same people over and over in different ways, does all these different things.
I agree, and this is one of those where you can tell they all came on set And I mean, even the guys that just come cameo, like Bill Murray's, he's in the movie, but he's only there for a little bit.
Yeah.
He's fabulous, like just phenomenal, and it's because he's just. It's like when you call an old friend that's one of your best friends, and you just pick up that conversation right from where you left off.
Yeah.
Know how
That's
you've
Bill
been,
Murray.
why haven't you talked to me? But like every single person in this movie is like that, and the movie's so weird, and it's a movie. It's kind of a movie within a movie. It's a person retelling the story as he's like coming to it, as he's visiting like the hotel, the Grand Budapest Hotel, like now, and being told the story of its famous concierge, which is Rafe. I gotta work on my Jeff Goldblum.
I can't do it with Jeff Goldblum at all.
Anyway, I don't want to go on and on about it. I don't want to spoil it. It is a very singularly unique movie, and you should all watch it.
Before we move on, was 22 Jump Street this year?
Yeah.
I think it was.
I think it was.
I got to give a shout out to that. It's definitely not movie of the year, but man,
You had
that
fun with
franchise is something special. Have you caught up on this?
No, I haven't watched the movies. I mean,
Have you seen the first one?
No, I never saw the movies.
I saw the
show.
first one, and
Dude.
I was let down.
Really?
I think
that movie makes me laugh
by the
so
time I
hard.
watched it, I think expectation had been set so high.
Because that's the thing. Like going into that was one of those ones where it's like, all right, this is a shitty comedy movie.
Yeah.
We went into it
So
just
funny.
like, oh my god, it's so funny. I think it's extra funny for us because we make videos and we
Yeah.
make comedy.
Yeah.
And, like we try to do
We
that.
try to make comedy.
And like so many of the jokes are so meta and just so like kind of breaking the fourth wall and just like joking about the writing and joking about that stuff.
Right.
I just think it's so funny. And like the second one, it's like it took itself so not seriously as a sequel. Like it took that a whole
It was
idea.
very
of-
self-aware.
It
as
was
a sequel.
self-aware and like it was so good.
But still, they still had. This is what I appreciated about the movie, is it felt like the first one. It's not like if you go back and watch Ghostbusters 2, for instance, right? It doesn't feel like the same movie. They
Right.
waited too long. They don't have the chemistry anymore. You can see there was some. I don't know if there's infighting or maybe they're
it's-
just slowing down a little bit.
It was the fact that they had gotten older, and that's something I remember very distinctly them talking about on that Oprah episode. And I remember I had a bone to pick
Oprah.
with Oprah because she wouldn't let me in to see Ghostbusters in person. And that was one of the things I remember that interview they talked about is the fact that we've all gotten older and none of us smoke, and we're all a little bit bigger and we're all a little bit, and it's like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was the thing. It was
That's right. They were all like cigarettes, like these giant 100s hanging out of their
Yeah,
mouth
yeah.
the entire in seats.
what about the Twinkie? Yeah.
Where he's like, he's walking and he's got the famous scene where he lets the cigarette
Yeah,
go and it
yeah.
just hangs on his lip for a second. It's burning.
Venkman!
I'm like, oh my god, that's so good. But yeah, they if you're gonna do a sequel to a successful comedy, for Christ's sake, do it the next year.
Yeah.
Do it before, like even Channing Tatum now,
Don't think
he's
too hard on it.
evolving. Like this movie Foxcatcher that he was in, which was an interesting film. I'm gonna say interesting. I will let people come to it on their own. I did not particularly. I don't know what to think of that movie. It should be good, but I did not like it.
Okay.
Beautifully made. Maybe it's just the story's really fucked up. The John DuPont story, how he, anyway. But I don't think he, you got to catch the zeitgeist and you got to ride that wave. And then I'm sure the third one, which apparently is it still supposed to be some sort
I
of
hope
Men in
it's
Black?
Men in Black.
and that's
man.
so perfect. Like
Thank
the
you.
third one's a funny crossover movie with a franchise that makes no sense.
No sense.
That's what that franchise is about, and that's so good.
It's true.
And you were saying Jonah Hill is like what the hell? This came out of nowhere. Same thing with Channing Tatum. Put those motherfuckers together, and
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Like Channing Tatum went from just like it's the
joke.
random Hawkeye
He
and
was
dance
a
movies
joke.
that girls like and like guys make fun of, like Justin Bieber style, you know. And now he's like fucking hilarious.
He's on point.
You know what
He's
I
so good.
That Tatum on point
we've talked about Tatum a lot
because we love him.
in our life.
Yeah.
I probably talked about Channing Tatum and Vin Diesel probably way more than any man who considers himself a heterosexual should. But
No, it's Hemsworth that really gets you going.
Daniel Craig,
Dan D. Craig.
That's true too.
The hell was I just talking about?
Channing Tatum.
Channing
How
Tatum
much you talk about Channing Tatum?
he's unabashedly, like, he's very humble. I've read multiple interviews with that guy who's like, I don't know how to act. I don't know why people like me. I'm just excited that it's happening, and I'm gonna ride this until it crashes to the shore.
I'm familiar with that.
And he has he's gone from, it's very much akin to the Fast and the Furious series, where it started off as a complete joke and now is a staple in my life.
Yep.
I cannot live without it.
That's a very
and
good way
I
to
need
put it.
more of it every day.
So
Yeah.
it's 3:00 right now.
Okay.
You have a call.
I do.
Do we need to pause again? Or do you want to power through? I have a podcast at 3 with Max J. That's Maxplosions on Twitter. MaxPlosions. He's giving me a 15-minute buffer if I'd like to take it, but I don't know what your call dictates.
I can do. As soon as she calls me, I'll have to leave. She's
That's
calling
fine.
me, so we
All right,
can
that's
keep
easy.
going. Oh no, that was it. That was the call. So, oh no, it was 38 minutes.
We
ago.
can close it out on
Let's
our own.
just, I say yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
Wanna
close it out.
I have 15 minutes. We have 15 minutes. My topic is 15-minutable.
Well, let's go. Let's do one more topic.
But
She
we
hasn't called me.
okay.
I'll call her back.
1:18. Ladies and gentlemen, my topic is this. Brandon Routh. You might remember Brandon Routh.
That
Scott
movie,
Pilgrim.
Dog. No, was
Also
it Dog
true.
the Bounty
And
Hunter?
he was in the dog movie.
Dog Hunter. Dog
It-
Night. What the hell was it?
You have the
Dog
phone.
Night.
You can look it up, but that's similar to it.
Rises.
But he exploded onto the scene with Superman Returns. And I was like, here we go. This is the Superman in the movies for the rest of my life. This is going to be this guy. I, of course, devoured Superman Returns information. You know what I mean? Like the Singer vlogs he put up, every article about it. Singer saying he met Routh and he tipped over his milk or whatever, and the creamer. It was a very Clark Kent moment. They said it was very cute. And then, of course, there was photos when he was like, when he was he had a Halloween party, a normal dude, and he went as Clark Kent with a Superman shirt on. And it was like,
Still growing out the curl.
exactly. It was like, yes. This guy is he was from Iowa, raised on a farm too, you know what I mean? He had like the Smallville background.
chops.
I was like, I like everything that's going to happen with this guy. You watch the movie, his performance is a great performance of Superman in the kind of film they were making. I have a laundry list of reasons Superman Returns doesn't work for me. But Routh's performance is not one of them. He's really good he's doing a Christopher Reeve impression. I mean, like that's what they're doing. They're doing a sequel to those movies, and he's doing it incredibly well. He's doing a very good alien Superman, which isn't my kind of thing. I like, Superman who thinks he's more American or more of our world, right? He's protecting Earth. But all that aside, Brandon Routh was awesome. Superman Returns wasn't good. Singer was saying the next Superman was going to be like Wrath of Khan style action. I was like, I am on board, and then it all exploded. The public turned on Superman Returns. It never went anywhere. Routh was faded away, right? And he did the science. What is it called?
I'm sorry, Dylan Dog.
Dylan Dog.
Dead of Night.
Which I always thought was weird because he went and did that movie with the guy who plays Jimmy Olsen.
He did.
Sam Huntington.
He did.
And I was like, that's neat, but weird. And then it turns out they're like really good friends now. It's like, yay.
Same universe?
No, not at all. Thank you for trying to get me on that though. You got me to smile. So he went off. He did that. It seemed like he was fading away. Like, what's he gonna do? Where is he gonna find his place in this world? Then Scott Pilgrim. I was like, oh great, he's still getting
That
work.
was great.
Then nothing
Yeah.
for a long time, and then pow, out of the blue, shows up on Arrow.
Yeah.
He's Dr. Ray Palmer.
It's a small thing.
Spoilers. He's gonna be the Atom, and now there's talk of the Atom getting his own spin-off show. What's queuing all this up? Where I want to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Brandon Routh, is the fact that last night IGN tweeted out a video between Stax and Joshua about like, is this the superhero redemption story of Brandon Routh? I immediately responded, yes. The content of the video was very positive. That yes, this clearly is. If they're going to do the Atom spinoff, this is great for him. What I want to talk about is, did you see this coming for him? And for you in particular, so I'm glad we got you before.
Yeah.
Is there another Phoenix story like this? Someone who was in this movie that was supposed to this is going to make your career. You are going to be Superman. That was so much for him to take on as an actor, right? Of
Yeah.
like, you're stepping into these boots and only a handful of people have ever portrayed this, and you're going to be this guy for the new generation. And all
You're
these
gonna be
people.
fucking Superman.
And then it's just gone. It's like, that would be the most depressing thing for me is that it's all just over.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Phoenix.
I'm with you on the Superman Returns in that when you watch that film, he is undoubtedly, I think, the best part of it.
Oh, sure.
I would say that he is the Superman that I wanted at that moment. It just wasn't
Yeah.
the story
Yeah.
that I wanted.
it's just
to be
not the
told.
one we deserve.
I actually loved him as Superman. I think I liked him more as Superman than Henry Cavill, who plays a lot more brutish. It was Superman.
Yeah.
It was a lot more raw of a film. Also, we're seeing that sort of again with Henry Cavill, right? If there was no Dawn of Justice, his career probably would not have. I don't know that it would have skyrocketed like you have. I'm trying to think of another role that has sort of made or break people's careers.
Batman.
Yeah, I guess Batman.
I mean,
for
Michael
Bale.
Keaton, right?
For Michael Keaton, is a
he's
perfect
looked in a
example,
different light after Batman.
right? He was
Bale for sure.
Bale for sure as well. Bale kind of went from being
No one has ever heard of this Ben Affleck
mega
fella.
star. Well, yeah. I don't know. It sucks because he's a great actor. He's got a good look.
I mean, it does. See, the thing is, like now, I feel a happy ending to it already. Not even that it's even remotely over. The guy's still doing work. You know what I mean? But like, he got the second chance. Not let alone a second chance in the DC universe.
Do we? Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. Is if you'd asked me that question 2 to 3 years ago, I'd have said no. It's TV. It's not anywhere close to as important as film.
Sure.
But now, and everyone is saying this, and Colin, you've mentioned it multiple times. All the great stories are now unfolding on TV.
That's what Troy
film
Baker
is
said
is
today.
a little bit. It's still good, but TV's had this sort of resurgence. There's a renaissance happening where we're getting great stories like Arrow or Flash, which is good too. And now he can go to both shows. I don't know. I'm not intimately familiar with Arrow. I stopped watching it after about the 4th season because I was like, or 4th episode because I was like, really, no one can understand that this dude's just like, It's not.
Don't look at me. It's I just have a hood on.
I've got
You can't
eyeliner
tell,
on.
and I'm looking
It's
down a
not
little
me.
bit, a little brutish.
Bane impression, so spot on. Arrow impression, kind of hard, kind of weak there.
I don't even know what he's saying. All I know is that I just remember clear as day that he's in the parking lot with some chick.
Yeah.
At a police station, I think. I'm
Yeah.
on the elliptical working out. He's literally just got the hood's like up to here.
Yeah.
Even. And he's just like looking down like this.
Yeah,
and
I
it's just
know.
like, but I'm so confused. You know, like I'm like, it's that guy that you know for 20 years. You don't realize that it's him?
Like, if you saw your
God
brother
damn
in the
it.
hood, wouldn't you know it's your brother?
They've
That's how long
in the
they've
It
known
takes
each other.
me out of it.
I totally understand that and agree. In the beginning, they tried to play with Shadow a bit to make it seem like it was in a darker area. Now it's totally like,
like,
fuck
hey,
it.
it's
He's there.
Arrow.
He's there talking to the police. Laurel's dad or whatever, and it's totally Oliver Queen. And they're just like, oh, whatever.
So
You don't know who I am.
corny. Like that's that kind of stuff disappoints me just as an aside because I like the idea of a superhero and a supervillain and a city in distress and all this kind of stuff. It's cool.
Yeah.
And we've said over and over again, but that's why Nolan's Batman movies work. But like, it's too bad that like corniness often takes over these stories. Like,
Well, it's
it doesn't have to be like that.
Suspension of disbelief, right, can only take you so
Yeah.
far. And then there are those moments where it's just like, all right. You know what I mean? Like, without any spoiling anything, how they're going to come back from the mid-season finale of Arrow is going to be a giant suspension of disbelief for a lot of people. And I'm very fascinated to see how they get around it and what they do. But Arrow's had its own crazy-ass things happening.
Whole
there, so who knows?
rigmarole.
Whole rigmarole.
To answer your question, your original question.
Yeah.
I don't know as far as superheroes go, but I do remember the biggest sort of comeback that I can think of in recent, probably the last like 20 or 30 years, was John Travolta when he did Pulp Fiction. Because John Travolta's career was super hot in the 80s.
Cotter.
And then he just died.
Right.
Yeah, he'd done Welcome Back.
That's a really good
Carter.
example of a comeback.
He had done Staying Alive. He had done Saturday Night Fever, which put him on the map. Then he did a little movie called Grease, which everyone loved. And then suddenly they were like, this guy's the it guy. Went through the 80s, had a couple really bad films happen to him. I think he did like Michael, which was about an angel, like Phenomenon.
Yeah,
All these movies
yeah.
weren't very good. And then his career basically was dead until Quentin Tarantino was
Yeah.
like, hey, do you want to play Vincent Vega in this crazy movie? I've got the second movie I'm making after Reservoir Dogs. It was a pretty big success, indie classic, making this Pulp Fiction movie. And it skyrocketed him to the top. Like the next movie he did was like Face Off and then Swordfish and then all
Swordfish.
and, like,
What
and
a
that was
flick.
and you're talking Face Off, and it's hard to put these movies in perspective because you really have to. They're signs of their time. You're talking Face Off at the height of Nicolas Cage's career after he had done like Leaving Las Vegas and was like as nominated. Or I think he won an Academy Award for that. And you're like, dude, this is a power duo. And then you watch a movie by a great director who was like critically acclaimed at the time. John Woo was like, oh, he had done like a bunch of what the hell did he do? He did great
Didn't he
great
do
films.
Godzilla in the late 90s? Is that the same guy that did the who did the? I don't know why. I mean, I don't know anything about filmmaking at all, but I just
Right.
recognize that name from that 98.
No, John Woo was a came over from Hong Kong. He was a believe a Chinese filmmaker, and he'd done a lot of stuff with Chow Yun Fat, put Chow Yun Fat on the map, and he was in the replacement killers and Antoine Fuqua. He was huge in Asia.
Okay.
Huge. Came over
way
here.
off on that one.
He did.
I was a bit off on that one.
He did that movie, and
Oh,
then he
huge
did.
in Asia, Godzilla. You were close.
And he, wow.
That was funny. That was a good
That
one.
was a good
Tim's
one.
been
That was
on
great.
today.
Thank you. You've been
This
on
is
today.
what happens when we get to do the Game Over Greggy show
At
early.
2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that he did a bunch, and now John Travolta is still huge. He's still a big name. He can still get big roles. He's a little bit more of a caricature of himself. But
Yeah.
he got redeemed. He came back as no longer the John Travolta who was super good looking and super fit from Staying Alive, right? Where you could take his shirt off and women would swoon. You're like, oh my god, this guy's oiled, like greased up like a piston.
Was that what people were saying about him?
Have you seen? If you watch the
That's what
last
you were
Sure,
saying
I'm
about
just
him,
saying,
I guess.
oiled and greased up like a piston.
this dude is hard as nails. He was not fit. He was pudgy. There's a scene with his shirt off where he has to take his clothes off at the end in Tarantino's backyard. They're spritzing him down because he's got brain matter all over his, and they got the great shot of Samuel L. Jackson in the fro. He's got brain matter. He's like, get that out of your fro. You're like, wow, this is just such a far cry away from where John Travolta used to be. Yeah. But it just worked. It was perfect
It was
casting.
right what he needed.
Perfect
right then,
casting. It made him this awesomely, hilariously stupid character. And that crushed it for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's actually a really good one. That's a really good because I guess because it's not the same thing, right? Where Travolta wasn't given a role that was like iconic.
Right.
He became an icon in all the movies he was doing, whereas Brandon Routh put into it. But it's another great trajectory. Even though I think Brandon Routh came back and he still fucking cut That
Oh,
guy with
he's-
his
oh, yeah,
abs and
that's
his
a little
muscles.
I saw him at a Comic-Con party like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He's just a mammoth of a man.
Oh yeah, he's a big.
He's
dude.
big. He's a big
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
Oh yeah, he's super nice. It's those Iowa values, that Midwestern values.
Man.
I'm happy he's back. I'm happy everything's working out for him.
It does suck that they had to go in a different direction. It would have been interesting to see him continue that role in a different story. It's just a different feel. It's more of a classic Superman movie versus Man of Steel, which is a modern superhero movie, I guess, with lots of crash zooms and lots of shaky cameras and lots of, let's just keep punching. Let's keep punching until we get to the World Maker thing. Oh,
Now
that
you-
went right through it.
Now,
It's like,
with all due respect, I mean, the solution in Superman Returns was I'm weak to kryptonite. I'll just lift this harder. let's not start throwing stones at one Superman.
This
flicking
isn't a
out the
little
other.
box. I'm just going to unpack this for 1 second. If
Sure.
you haven't seen Superman Returns, the main crux of the film
Is Superman 1,
is
which is really annoying.
well, yeah, it relies heavily on that.
I'm
which is
Lex
crazy.
Luthor and I'm back, and you know what I'm still obsessed with? Land.
Right.
What the fuck? Really? All right.
So Lex Luthor takes the crystals, if I remember correctly, from the Fortress of
Sunstones,
Solitude.
Yeah.
And he realizes that these things have incredible power. They can actually make land because they made the Fortress of Solitude. So he takes some of the crystals, impregnates them, if I remember correctly, with kryptonite, so that Superman can't come on the thing without basically being like
I
incredibly
like how you
sick
use
and
the word
dying.
impregnates for that.
Impregnates. Cal Penn's in it, so that's interesting. And then
Never
he
speaks.
Never speaks.
They cut all his lines.
all his lines.
So
which
it's
is
just
weird.
weird. You're like, why is Kumar in this
from
movie?
Harold and Kumar. So it ends up being successful, makes an entire new continental drift, a whole new plot of land that is half the size of like half of the northern hemisphere, like basically half of the United States. Superman flies to that, no sense of the fact that it's made of kryptonite at all. Like,
No,
as
he
he's getting-
knows.
as
What's he gonna do?
Well, as he's getting close to it, he lands and he's like, "I'm fucking badass. I'm Superman."
This
still.
is
And they're
totally
like,
not the-
You're not Superman. And he falls down. He's like, "Oh no, this whole place is made of kryptonite. I didn't know that." They stab him.
Yeah.
Right. He falls in, gets saved by I think either
Cyclops.
Yeah, Cyclops. Who like has his redeeming
Lois and
moment.
Cyclops come.
Right.
We should stop for real, because there's a whole Superman Returns time bomb here.
Okay. But let me.
There's
just,
no redeeming moment for Cyclops because he's a great fucking guy the entire movie.
Oh, yeah, good
You're
point.
waiting for the shoe to drop of like, oh, so he's Lois's love. When's he gonna turn out? He's behind all this, and it's like, no, he's just a really good dude.
He's a dude.
No.
Oh,
And
great!
not only
I
that,
really can't wait to see his life fucking blown up by Superman.
But he goes like, there's that scene in the yacht too where he's like gonna die with them, and it's so like he's trying to hold them up with like
Yeah.
one arm as he's holding onto the yacht, and he's like, I don't know what's gonna happen, and it's this insane scene where the water's filling up, and he's like, well, I'm dead. And I couldn't save my family, but I tried really hard, and I sacrificed my life for him. Oh, the asshole in the red boots is here. He's just gonna take all my thunder.
Don't know if that
and
was-
rips the thing off and grabs him, and then lets the yacht go, and the yacht just it's a beautiful shot. But
And the music's fucking swelling
so
behind it.
good. There were moments in that movie that were good, and then of course Superman's like, well, I'm dying, but I'm just gonna go underneath this continental drift
Made
This
of the
thing-
one substance that makes me weak as a kitten.
weak as a kitten, and I'm just gonna throw it into the sun.
Yeah, I'm gonna lift it out of the
problem
planet
Yeah,
and then into the air and drift it off.
Superman, man.
it's
Let's not even start.
I can't even with
Let's
Superman.
not
I
even
can't
start.
even do it.
I'm
I
happy
can't
Brandon
either.
Routh's back. He's a great actor. He's a great dude. He's really great on Arrow. I hope he gets his own spin-off show. We talked about it, that it might be a bit too much, but it won't work if he's got the Adam suit in there. So I'm just excited he's back and getting a chance. Good dude.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Game Over Greggy show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table.
we had 5 this time.
I know. Each bringing a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, all you have to do is throw us a few bucks and you get the episode early on Friday, whether it be through patreon.com/kindafunny or Vimeo or Bandcamp. If you don't have the money to spend or you don't want to, no big deal. Go to youtube.com/kindafunny Monday through Friday to see every topic broken out day by day before the whole show posts for free on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are on our own now. Everybody go get Troy Baker's album, Sitting in the Fire. You can get it everywhere. You can buy it here. If you comment on Monday's Breakout, we'll pick a random one to win this autographed copy. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.